Johnny here for Johnny's Car Care and Advice. So today I'm going to be talking about fuel economy of a Mustang GT. I want to touch on this point because there's a lot of videos saying that a Mustang GT isn't economic, that it's really expensive in regards to gas consumption. And I'd like to talk about that and touch upon a few points. First of all, we have to keep in mind that a Mustang GT, the 2018s, now come with 460 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. I feel that if people are expecting to get gas mileage, which we'll discuss a little later, some precise numbers, but if your hope is to get hybrid numbers in regards to gas mileage, well, hybrids generally have around 200 horsepower. This has 460. So there's only so much you can do and so much that you should expect out of a vehicle that provides this much power. Another really important factor for fuel economy is how much a vehicle weighs. Now, this vehicle, a Mustang GT, they weigh around 3,500 pounds, and they have 460 horsepower. So their pound per horsepower is give or take 8.06 pounds per horsepower. Now that number of, or ratio of 8, the number of 8 is really important, because your pounds per horsepower are really what's going to decide your bang for buck, your fun that your vehicle is going to provide for the price that it costs. So I'd say a Mustang GT has an incredible bang for buck. It's actually on the top of the list in regards bang for buck when considering pounds per horsepower, because of that ratio of 8.06. It makes it so that it's a lot of fun to drive. And Mustang GTs are fun to drive. They're quite powerful, and they're actually getting decent, I'd argue quite decent, fuel economy for how much horsepower you're getting versus the weight of a car. Sort of make a comparison. If you look at a motorcycle, motorcycles can be generally they're extremely fuel efficient, and they're extremely fun to drive. Why? Because they're light. And it's not that they have 400 horsepower, of course. A motorcycle with 40 or 50 or even 60 horsepower will be a lot of fun to drive. And of course, less fun to drive depending on the total weight. So, part of that's the driver and part of that's the machine. So I'm going to be diving into fuel economy. Now, some of the reasons why the 2018 Mustang is quite economic on fuel, I would argue, is first of all, the 10-speed transmission is great for fuel economy. It's also absolutely incredible at shifting the gear unbelievably quickly if you are trying to go quick and you're not worried about gas consumption. But when you are trying to have great gas consumption levels, the 10-speed is great at keeping you in a high gear, being at low RPM. So those are really some of its skills. Furthermore, the new 2018 has both direct injection and port injection as methods for bringing fuel to the engine. Combining both direct injection and port injection has made the vehicle quite economic on fuel, considering its weight and its amount of horsepower and torque that it offers. And furthermore, Ford has on their Mustang GT engines, they have variable valve timing. So with the variable valve timing of the camshaft, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get a vehicle that can be economic if you're quite easy on the pedal, but if you're harder and you demand more of the vehicle, well, with that variable camshaft timing, with it being able to adjust to your driving mode, how you want to drive and what you're demanding the vehicle, well, it can also be a very good vehicle in regards to high performance. So considering all that, I'm going to jump right in after a quick little intro, and we'll be looking at the fuel economy, real life fuel economy of a Mustang GT. So here we are back inside the interior of a Mustang GT. It's a 2018 Coyote engine, 5 liter, 460 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. And as promised, let's jump right into those numbers. So here we have 24 miles per gallon. For the last 107 miles, that was 80% highway, 20% city, but that was done in the mountains at 73 miles per hour and passing people. So no effort whatsoever to be conservative when it comes to fuel. Now, here we have the numbers for a 2018 Toyota Camry hybrid. There we have it, the big word, hybrid. The car weighs 3,500 pounds and has 208 horsepower. So that makes for a pound per horsepower of 17.16 pounds per horsepower. Now I'd like to compare that to a Mustang GT 5-liter Coyote. What we have is a car that weighs 3,705 pounds and has 460 horsepower. That's 8.05 pounds per horsepower. But the question can be asked, why am I focusing on these two vehicles and why am I focusing on pounds per horsepower per pound? Well, the reason I'm doing this is because people are making such a big deal out of what kind of fuel economy sports cars get. Whether it's the Mustang GT or a Dodge Viper or a Corvette or a European sports car, we're so focused on how many miles per gallon they're getting, when really we should be focusing on and putting a lot of importance on what they were built around. They were built around their main goal, really, their raison d'être, their goal in life is to give us fun. You don't buy a sports car thinking, oh, I really want to buy a fuel-efficient vehicle. You buy a sports car thinking, I want a beautiful vehicle. And I want a vehicle that's not only beautiful, I want it to be powerful and fun to drive. I want to really enjoy the drive when I'm going places in my sports car. It's not your daily driver. So I made this video to really address and ask the question, why are we making such a big deal in regards to miles per gallon of sports cars? It's not the end of the world. These cars' goal in life isn't to be hybrids. And when you look at the numbers, a Mustang GT having 460 horsepower, over double the horsepower of a Toyota Camry, being much faster and much more powerful per pound, makes an astonishing number of, it uses twice as much gas to get you around, twice as much fuel. 24 or 25 miles per gallon is pretty much twice as much gas and fuel that it takes than a Toyota Camry, which gets about 49 or 50 miles per gallon. And I'm actually comparing my real life numbers with estimated government numbers. So clearly the estimated test numbers are going to be a little better. So in real life, a Toyota Camry would maybe only actually get about 47 miles per gallon. Sports cars like these here are made to go fast, they're made to have fun, and they're made so you enjoy driving them around. They're performance vehicles. And really surprisingly, the Mustang, because of its 10-speed automatic transmission, because of port and direct injection as methods to bring fuel to the vehicle, as well as electronic power-assisted steering and twin independent camshaft timing, is a fuel-efficient vehicle. So the point is, these vehicles are made to get you up and off the couch. They're made to get you to go places, see, nice things. They're not all about fuel economy. That's not their purpose. They're made to help you have fun while getting there, to put that smile on your face, whether it's the wind in your hair or the smoke from the tires. They're made for you to really enjoy driving, to enjoy the ride. They're not your daily driver, so they're not all about fuel economy. So let's stop judging these vehicles on fuel economy. And if we do judge them on fuel economy, let's judge them in a way that takes into account how much fun they offer us. So, usually the more miles per gallon a vehicle gets, the less fun it is to drive. So how do you really calculate, the overall value, quality of a sports car based on its fuel economy? Well, you look at miles per gallon, which is a number out of 10 that you can create that represents the real value that car gives you. So if you take the weight of the vehicle and you divide it by its horsepower, you get smiles or fun factor. Because generally the lighter a vehicle is and the more horsepower it has, well, the more fun it is to drive because it handles, brakes, and accelerates better. So a Camry hybrid has 49 miles per gallon, and if you divide that by its fun factor of 17.1, you end up with an overall rating of 3.1. Whereas if you take the fun factor of a Mustang, divide its weight by its horsepower, you end up with a number of 8.054. If you then take how many miles per gallon a vehicle makes, and then you divide that by its fun factor, well, you actually get how many miles per gallon that vehicle creates. So a Toyota Camry hybrid creates 2.86 miles per gallon, while a Mustang GT creates 3.1 miles per gallon. So in a way, when we take into account the purpose of vehicle and its fuel economy, and you put them together, well, the Mustang, in a certain perspective, creates more fuel economy because it's creating a whole lot of fun. I hope this has been helpful and useful at finding a criteria that actually puts a value on what fuel economy should be for a sports car, that we should take into account how much fun a vehicle is to drive versus how much fuel it consumes. And that's where we get the miles per gallon. It's taking the fun factor of a vehicle, its overall weight divided by its horsepower. So for example, if you take a scooter, 150 pound scooter with a 200 pound person on it is 350 pounds. Well, if you take that 350 pounds and you divide it by its 10 horsepower, well, you're gonna get a number that then you divide by the miles per gallon that it creates, 50 miles per gallon, and you'll get a rough number of around 1.4 miles per gallon. So, I think this is a good example because if we think about it, a scooter engine is not a big V8 5-liter. You're not going to enjoy driving a scooter at 25 miles per hour for 300 kilometers, but you will enjoy driving a sports car for 300 kilometers. So, you need to find that happy balance between properly weighting the importance of fuel economy, and miles per gallon is the way that you can properly rate that. I hope this has been helpful, and until next time.